Me and Andrea are pretty late to have kids. She's 38, I was nearly 40. We were super excited to get pregnant.
I already knew from the get-go if it was a little girl, like I didn't give Lester a choice in the matter. She was going to be named after my grandma Betty.
I think it was week 33. She went in for a test. Her stomach measured big, which to us didn't seem like much, and they asked for an extra ultrasound.
She did the ultrasound, came back in the room, and she was just kind of like quiet, and she's like, well, there's some things I got to tell you. She said, well, the baby's got high drops. And I said, well, what's that? And she said, well, there's fluid around the heart and there's fluid around her stomach. There's a 50% survival rate. I said, okay. And I said, what else is going on? And she said, the left side of her heart is extremely enlarged. And she goes, I haven't seen this before. I don't know how to deal with this. So I'm referring you out to UW. You know, at that point, there was nothing that we could do.
It was determined that it'd be best to let her go to full term. We were told Betty wouldn't have a very high survival after birth. It would all depend on if her lung developed or not. And so we kind of had to go through some tough conversations and decide if we're going to do surgeries or what we would be open to. Heart transplant was talked about.
You know, it was probably about 2 weeks before she was born that we actually decided on the transplant.
Betty's biggest challenge right off the bat was having a heart that wasn't functioning properly. We were very lucky to get a heart as soon as we did. I think they did like 5 heart transplants in that age group, which is super unheard of in that time frame that we were there. It's been a good heart, like it has not missed a beat. We haven't had any trouble in the cardiac realm of things. Most of our challenges have been in feeding and a lot of her like OT, speech, stuff like that. Most recently, she was diagnosed as mild to moderate autism, so she's somewhere on the spectrum. We had been told about ESD and the services that could come to our house, which was really crucial for us because Betty's immune compromised due to the drugs she takes to keep her heart from being rejected.
Birth to 3 comes out to the house and does speech, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and like feeding. And Betty needed all those things because she wasn't taking food by mouth. You know, she didn't start like sitting up like normal with other kids because she had to lay back because of her feeding tube. And so Birth to 3 came out to the house and helped us learn as, you know, parents to show us how to, you know, implement things to work with Betty. Communication, like one thing that they worked with us on with Betty currently is like we have a little PEC book which has pictures of cards like bubbles or water or like an iPad. And so if Betty wants like her bubbles, Betty will pull out the bubbles and hand us the bubbles and we'll go bubbles.
How do parents do this without the resources that we've had? Because we've had a ton of resources, right? We've had people helping us with every aspect of her life. You see more and more every time you start to research these things that like early intervention is the key to these things and it makes dividends in the long run. I don't see why every parent shouldn't utilize it in some way. Like I don't think this has to be like for a specific kid that has like a big diagnosis like ours of a heart transplant. I just think it's a great service that comes into your home and gives you an idea of like where your kid sits and what they could improve on. And I think that early intervention is super helpful.